Admiral Xena Val stood motionless before the quantum imaging array aboard the Hegemony's flagship Eternal Dawn. Her silver-scaled skin reflected the holographic displays surrounding her as she studied the anomalous readings from Sol's system for the 100th time. Something was wrong with this supposedly primitive world called Earth, but she couldn't quite grasp what. "Run the temporal analysis again," she commanded, her translator converting her subsonic speech into standard hegemonic. The AI complied instantly, overlaying centuries of surveillance data collected by automated probes throughout the sector. Admiral, her science officer, Dr. Krell, approached with an urgent rustling of his feather scales. "We've detected something impossible." His auxiliary arms worked furiously over a data tablet, while his primary limbs gestured at the main display. "These energy signatures from Earth, they don't match any known civilization pattern. They're not even trying to achieve spaceflight the way we understand it." Xena's inner eyelids narrowed as she processed this information. The galactic hegemony had guided dozens of emerging civilizations over the millennia, each following predictable technological progression. But Earth defied these patterns entirely. Their visible technology was crude: chemical rockets, primitive satellites, basic space stations. Yet deeper scans revealed something else entirely: microscopic distortions in space-time itself, spread throughout their entire solar system like an invisible web. "Show me the quantum variance readings," Xena ordered. The display shifted, revealing data that made her scales ripple with disbelief. The humans weren't just manipulating matter and energy. They were doing something at a fundamental level that the hegemony sensors struggled to comprehend. "Admiral," Dr. Krell's voice dropped to a whisper, "I believe they've been aware of us for centuries. These distortions, they're observation points. They'd been studying us while maintaining a perfect facade of primitive development." Before Xena could respond, alarms blared throughout the bridge. "Multiple quantum signatures detected," her tactical officer announced. "Something's emerging from the dimensional fold around Earth." The space around Earth rippled like heat waves over desert sand. Massive structures began phasing into reality: orbital rings, space elevators, and stations that dwarfed anything the hegemony had built in its 50,000-year history. Their design was organic, almost alive, following mathematical patterns that seemed to bend reality itself. "Incoming transmission," the communications officer reported, their phosphorescent patches pulsing with anxiety. "It's in perfect hegemonic standard." A human appeared on the main display, unremarkable in appearance save for subtle cybernetic enhancements visible beneath their skin. They smiled, an expression Xena had studied but never quite understood. "Greetings, Admiral Val. I'm Director Sarah Chen of the Earth Collective. We apologize for the deception, but we needed to understand you before revealing ourselves. Your civilization's history of guiding emerging species led us to take certain precautions." Xena's auxiliary heart began beating faster as the implications sank in. The humans hadn't just achieved technological parity with the hegemony. They'd surpassed it in ways her people had never even imagined possible. "You've been watching us," she stated, trying to maintain diplomatic composure despite her growing unease. "Why reveal yourselves now?" Director Chen's smile widened slightly. "Because you were about to make a serious mistake. Your containment protocols for anomalous civilizations would have forced our hand. We'd rather begin our relationship with cooperation than conflict." The human's image was replaced by technical data streaming faster than even Xena's enhanced mind could process. "We're transmitting a small sample of our scientific understanding, particularly regarding dimensional engineering and consciousness-guided quantum mechanics. Consider it a gesture of good faith." Dr. Krell made a sound of pure astonishment as he reviewed the data. "Admiral, this changes everything we thought we knew about physics. They're not just manipulating reality. They're speaking to it. Their technology isn't built, it's grown through direct quantum interaction with consciousness itself." Xena felt her worldview shifting as she grasped the full implications. The hegemony had always seen itself as the galaxy's guiding light, shepherding younger species toward enlightenment. But now they faced something unprecedented, a civilization that had quietly transcended their understanding while maintaining the perfect illusion of primitivity. Director Chen, Xena said carefully, "I believe we have much to discuss." The human's expression turned serious. "Indeed we do, Admiral. The question is, will the hegemony be willing to learn from those it planned to teach? Your answer will determine much about our future relationship." As Xena prepared her response, she couldn't help but wonder if the hegemony's real first contact was only just beginning, not with a primitive species to be guided, but with one that might instead guide them toward possibilities they had never imagined. The Grand Assembly Chamber of the hegemony's council sparkled like a jeweled cave, its crystalline walls reflecting the agitated bioluminescence of 200 alien representatives. High Counselor Vex Nar, his serpentine form coiled atop the speaker's pedestal, watched the chaos unfold with all four of his eyes. "Impossible." The Zoraxian delegate's electromagnetic voice boomed through the chamber. "No species could advance so far without leaving traces our probes could detect. These humans must be receiving outside assistance." Admiral Xenoval's scales flickered with irritation as she addressed the assembly. "The evidence is irrefutable. The humans haven't just matched our technology. They've developed it along completely different lines. Their understanding of dimensional physics makes our best theories look primitive." The chamber's quantum displays showed the latest data from Sol system, where days ago there had been only seemingly primitive human installations. Now a vast network of impossible structures filled local space. Buildings that weren't quite buildings, grown from living metal and thought. Ships that moved by speaking to space-time itself. "More troubling," Dr. Krell added, his feather scales trembling with scientific excitement despite the gravity of the situation, "is that we still can't understand how most of their technology works. It's as if they're operating on principles we never even considered." A new figure materialized in the center of the chamber. Director Chen, her hologram perfectly rendered despite the distance between Earth and the hegemony's capital world. Several delegates recoiled at this casual demonstration of technological superiority. "Distinguished members of the Council," she began, "we understand your concerns. Humanity's path of development has been unconventional. Perhaps a demonstration would help explain our approach." Without waiting for response, she gestured. The chamber's air shimmered, and suddenly every being present felt a subtle shift in their consciousness. It was as if a door had opened in their minds, revealing a sense they never knew they had. "What you're experiencing," Chen explained, "is direct quantum perception. Your species all have the potential for it. You simply never discovered how to access it. Your technology is built on manipulating the physical world from the outside. Ours grew from learning to speak with reality itself." Vex Nar uncoiled in shock as his mind processed sensations he had no words for. He could feel the quantum dance of atoms, the subtle currents of probability that underpinned existence. More incredibly, he could sense how the humans had woven their technology into these fundamental forces, not conquering them, but cooperating with them. 3 centuries ago, Chen continued, humanity faced a choice. We detected your probes, learned of the hegemony, and realized we could either follow your path of development or seek our own way. We chose to look inward before reaching outward. The display shifted to show Earth's history, not the carefully crafted facade they'd maintained, but their true development. They had turned their entire civilization into a prototype, experimenting with different forms of consciousness and technology, while maintaining a convincing exterior of primitive development. Instead of building machines to conquer space, Chen explained, we learned to grow technologies that work in harmony with it. Instead of forcing our will upon the universe, we learned to ask it for cooperation. A Methian delegate, their crystalline form pulsing with confusion, spoke up. But why maintain the deception? Why not share these discoveries? Chen's expression turned serious. Because your civilization's history showed us you weren't ready. The hegemony's approach to guiding younger species while well-intentioned, is fundamentally based on the assumption that your path is the only valid one. We needed to be strong enough to ensure you would listen when we finally spoke. And now? Vexnar asked, still processing the strange new awareness humming through his consciousness. Now we offer partnership, Chen replied. Not as teachers or students, but as equals with different perspectives. There are wonders in this universe that neither of our civilizations can reach alone. Together, though, she smiled. Together, we could achieve things neither of us have dreamed of. The chamber erupted in discussion, but Vexnar barely heard it. Through his newly awakened quantum sense, he felt the potential Chen spoke of, possibilities that dwarfed even the hegemony's grandest ambitions. Their civilization had spent millennia mastering the physical universe, never realizing they were missing an entire dimension of existence. As the Council argued, automated sensors throughout hegemony space detected strange quantum fluctuations. Everywhere they looked, reality itself seemed to be waking up, responding to minds newly aware of its true nature. Humanity hadn't just revealed themselves, they had sparked an awakening that would transform both civilizations forever. The age of simple technological progression was over. The real question was, what would they become together? Fleet Commander Zoravax watched from the bridge of the Eternal Vigilance as the combined might of the hegemony's 3rd and 4th fleets moved into position around Sol system. 10,000 ships, the largest armada assembled in living memory, prepared to establish a containment perimeter around humanity's home. The Council is making a mistake. Admiral Xenoval's hologram flickered beside her. The humans aren't some primitive species we can simply isolate until they comply with our protocols. The Council has spoken, Zara replied, her scales shifting to formal command patterns. Until we can verify the humans' intentions and capabilities, they represent too great a risk to galactic stability. She didn't add that the recent awakening of quantum perception throughout hegemony space had caused widespread panic among the more conservative members of the Council. The tactical display showed Earth's orbital infrastructure, vast geometric structures that seemed to grow more complex by the hour, defying conventional physics in ways that made her tactical computers struggle to maintain lock. All ships in position, her executive officer reported. Quantum containment field generator standing by. Zara took a moment to study the sensor readings. The humans had made no obvious response to the fleet's arrival. Their installations continued their incomprehensible activities, ignored the hegemony ships as if they weren't even there. Commence containment protocol, she ordered. Establish the quantum barrier. 10,000 ships activated their field generators simultaneously, preparing to establish an impenetrable barrier around the entire solar system. It was a display of power meant to humble any civilization. The quantum fields never formed. Ma'am, her sensor officer's scales flashed with alarm. Something's talking to our generators, not interfacing with them, actually having a conversation with the quantum fields themselves. Before Zara could respond, every ship in the fleet went dark. Not damaged or destroyed, simply switched off, as if reality itself had decided their technology should take a brief nap. Only life support and basic systems remained functional. Director Chen's image appeared on every bridge in the fleet simultaneously. She looked disappointed but not surprised. Really, Commander? A containment fleet? She shook her head. We had hoped the Council would choose a more diplomatic approach, but we prepared for this possibility. Look around you. Really look, with your new quantum sense. See what you're actually dealing with. Zara closed her primary eyes and opened her consciousness to that strange new awareness humanity had awakened. What she saw made her auxiliary heart stop beating for a moment. The fleet wasn't surrounded by human ships or weapons. Instead, the very fabric of space around them had been reprogrammed. Reality itself had been convinced to operate according to different rules within a vast bubble, encompassing the entire fleet. Impossible, she whispered. No civilization could. Commander, Chen interrupted gently, you're still thinking in terms of technological advancement as you understand it. We're not using technology to overcome physics. We learned to ask physics nicely if it would mind behaving differently for a while. Through her quantum sense, Zara felt the truth of it. Humanity hadn't built their civilization by dominating natural laws. They'd achieved synthesis with them. Their technology was really just a vast collaborative effort between consciousness and reality itself. The containment fleet will remain powered down for the next hour, Chen continued. No one is harmed, and all life support systems are functioning normally. Consider this a demonstration of why conflict between us would be unproductive. A new set of data began streaming to the fleet's computers, information about human history, their true technological development, and proposals for peaceful cooperation. We don't want war, Commander. Chen's expression softened. We don't even want to dominate or humble the hegemony. What we want is to share a different way of looking at the universe. Your civilization has achieved amazing things through force of will and technological might. Imagine what you could accomplish if you learned to work with reality instead of trying to impose your will upon it. Zara felt the shift in her crew's consciousness, not fear or humiliation, but awakening wonder. The humans could have destroyed the fleet, could have dominated the hegemony through their superior capabilities. Instead, they chose to teach. As if to emphasize the point, a small object appeared on Zara's command console, a seed of some kind, but one that radiated possibilities her quantum sense could barely comprehend. A gift, Chen explained. A seed of living metal, encoded with the basic principles of our approach to quantum engineering. Not our most advanced technology, but enough to demonstrate that we're serious about sharing knowledge rather than hoarding it. The seed pulsed with potential, responding to Zara's thoughts even as she looked at it. She realized that humanity wasn't just offering technological exchange. They were offering a completely new way of existing within the universe. As the hour of powerlessness ticked by, the fleet's crews didn't experience fear or anger. Instead, they felt like students who had suddenly glimpsed a vast new frontier of possibility. The hegemony had always prided itself on uplifting primitive species. Now they faced the humbling and exhilarating prospect of being uplifted themselves. The question was, would they embrace this new path or cling to their old certainties? The seed pulsed in Zara's hand, waiting for her civilization's choice. The hegemony's grand archive, a vast complex stretching across an entire continent of the capital world, had never seen such activity in its 50 millennia of existence. Scholars from every member species crowded its quantum crystalline halls, analyzing the data humanity had shared. High Counselor Vex Nar moved through the controlled chaos, his serpentine form gliding past holographic displays showing impossible achievements. Teams of scientists studied the seed gifts humanity had distributed throughout the fleet, watching in wonder as the living metal responded to conscious intention. Remarkable, isn't it? Dr. Krell approached, his feather scales rippling with excitement. The seeds aren't just technology, they're teachers. Each one contains basic principles of human quantum engineering, but they reveal themselves differently to each researcher based on their understanding and expectations. Vex Nar coiled thoughtfully before a display showing a Methian researcher communicating directly with spacetime itself, achieving in hours what would have taken years of conventional study to master. They're not just giving us technology, he observed. They're teaching us to think differently about reality itself. Precisely. A new voice joined them. Admiral Xenoval, her scales now bearing the distinctive patterns of extended quantum perception. The humans didn't develop better tools. They discovered a fundamentally different relationship with existence. The display shifted to show recordings from the containment fleet. The massive armada hung powerless in space, not through violence or technological superiority, but because humanity had simply asked the universe to temporarily modify its behavior in that region. The council remains divided, Vex Nar said quietly. Many fear this represents too great a change too quickly. Some worry that expanding quantum perception throughout our civilization will lead to chaos. As if in response to his words, alarms blared throughout the archive. Emergency reports flooded in from across hegemony space. On 1,000 worlds, quantum-sensitive individuals had begun manifesting abilities that defied conventional physics. Reality itself seemed to be awakening, responding to minds newly aware of its true nature. Director Chen's hologram appeared before them, her expression concerned but not surprised. "We expected this might happen," she said. "Once consciousness begins truly communicating with quantum reality, change becomes inevitable. The question is, will you try to suppress this awakening or help guide it?" Vexnar studied the human's image with all four eyes. "You knew this would happen when you shared quantum perception with us. Why take such a risk?" "Because suppressing your civilization's potential would have been a greater crime than letting you face these challenges," Chen replied. "Yes, this transition will be difficult. Yes, there will be accidents and mistakes as people learn to handle these new abilities. But the alternative was to leave you blind to an entire dimension of existence." The archive's displays showed more reports flooding in. A Zeraxian engineer accidentally phasing an entire building into quantum flux. A Methian child speaking with gravity and convincing it to flow sideways. Countless incidents of spontaneous quantum engineering as people discovered capabilities they never knew they had. "We offer assistance," Chen continued. "Earth went through this awakening centuries ago. We learned how to teach these skills safely, how to help people understand their new relationship with reality. But we won't impose our guidance. The choice must be yours." Dr. Krell manipulated a seed with his auxiliary arms, watching it transform in response to his thoughts. "The conservative elements in the council will never accept this," he warned. "They'll demand we find a way to suppress these abilities, return to conventional physics. They might as well demand we return to pre-atomic technology," Senna countered. "This isn't just about new capabilities. It's about understanding what was always possible. We can't unknow this." Vexnar felt the truth of her words. Through his own quantum sense, he could feel the change spreading through hegemony space, not a technological advancement, but an evolutionary one. Their civilization stood at a crossroads between clinging to comfortable limitations and embracing a reality far stranger and more wonderful than they had imagined. "There will be a price," Chen warned. "Not one we're demanding, but one reality itself requires. Once you begin true quantum dialogue with existence, you can't treat it as just a resource to be exploited. You have to listen as much as you speak. Learn to work with natural laws rather than trying to dominate them." Around them, the archive hummed with discovery as researchers from 100 species explored humanity's gifts. Each seed contained not just knowledge but a philosophy, an approach to existence that viewed the universe not as something to be conquered, but as a partner in creation. The future hung in balance, waiting for the hegemony's choice. Would they embrace this new understanding, learning to dance with reality itself, or would fear drive them to try suppressing abilities that could no longer be contained? Through his quantum sense, Vexnar felt the weight of this moment rippling through probability itself. Their civilization's next step would reshape not just their future, but their fundamental relationship with existence. The observation deck of Harmony Station hung in the space between Earth and Mars, its living crystal walls adapting moment by moment to give observers the clearest view of history in the making. The massive structure was itself a symbol of the new era, designed by the hegemony, but grown using human quantum engineering. Its very existence represented the synthesis of two approaches to civilization. Admiral Xenaval stood beside Director Chen, watching construction unfold across the solar system. Or perhaps construction wasn't the right word. The new structures grew like crystalline flowers blooming in space, guided by the combined consciousness of human and hegemony engineers working in harmony with quantum reality itself. The Council's final vote exceeded our most optimistic projections, Xena said, her scales shimmering with patterns that would have been impossible before her quantum awakening. 90% in favor of full integration of human quantum engineering principles throughout hegemony space. Chen smiled, the quantum patterns flowing beneath her skin resonating with genuine pleasure. "Your people adapted more quickly than we expected. Though perhaps we shouldn't be surprised. Once you could truly see the possibilities, there was no going back. The main display showed feeds from across hegemony territory. On 1,000 worlds, the seeds humanity had shared had grown into vast networks of living technology. More importantly, they had grown into centers of learning where both civilizations could share their knowledge and perspectives. There have been challenges, Xena admitted, watching a recording of a Zoraxian colony where an inexperienced quantum engineer had accidentally created a temporary pocket universe. Learning to speak with reality itself requires a level of responsibility we're still adapting to. Which is precisely why we maintained our deception for so long, Chen replied. We needed to be certain your civilization could handle these capabilities responsibly. The fact that your first instinct was to establish learning protocols rather than weapons applications told us everything we needed to know. A new alert drew their attention. In a distant sector of hegemony space, a previously unknown phenomenon had been detected. Both women extended their quantum perception, feeling the ripples of something vast and strange moving through higher dimensions. Interesting, Chen mused. We detected similar phenomena during our early quantum explorations, but never managed to make contact. Perhaps together. She didn't need to finish the thought. Already, joint human hegemony research teams were mobilizing, bringing together humanity's intuitive grasp of quantum communication with the hegemony's vast experience in cosmic phenomena. Where once they might have approached such a discovery with caution or fear, now they reached out with wonder and curiosity. Did you ever imagine this outcome? Xena asked, watching as a group of Methian children played with quantum fields, their crystalline forms refracting possibilities as they learned to speak with space-time itself. When humanity first detected our probes, did you foresee our civilizations achieving this kind of synthesis? We hoped, Chen admitted. But hope wasn't enough. We had to be certain. That's why we spent centuries watching, learning, understanding your potential. We needed to know if you could move past the desire to dominate reality and learn to collaborate with it instead. The station's quantum field rippled as High Counselor Vexnar arrived via dimensional transfer, his serpentine form now permanently suffused with the glow of advanced quantum perception. The first joint exploration fleet is ready, he announced. Crewed by both our peoples, using technologies that blend both our approaches, we're ready to reach beyond known space. The display shifted to show the fleet. The ships were unlike anything either civilization had created before, partly grown, partly built, their forms suggesting movement even when still. They represented not just a technological advancement, but a new way of existing within the universe. We're detecting more anomalies like the one you just observed. Vexnar continued. It seems that as our civilizations learn to perceive reality more clearly, we're becoming aware of just how much we still don't understand. The universe is stranger and more wonderful than either of our peoples imagined. And that's exactly as it should be, Chen replied. The moment we think we understand everything is the moment we stop growing. Together, we've learned that the universe isn't something to be conquered or controlled. It's a partner in an endless dance of discovery. As if in response to her words, the quantum fields around the station pulsed with new patterns. Reality itself seemed to be responding to their consciousness, eager to show them new wonders now that they had learned to truly see. The future stretched before them, filled not with the certainties of technological progression or the fears of cosmic threats, but with endless possibilities born from learning to speak with existence itself. Humanity and the hegemony had found not just allies in each other, but a whole new way of being. And somewhere in the quantum dance of consciousness and reality, the universe itself seemed to smile.